Thank you, Chair. Thank you for appearing again today. Could you please explain the provisions around exemptions for sites that do not require a person to have an account, meaning they can simply arrive and watch? An example would be children watching cartoons on YouTube. What's the definition here of a site that can be viewed without an account?
I guess it goes to the obligation around holding an account or having an account which relates to the creation or the holding of an account. So if there is any process... Sorry?
Creator's responsibility? It's the account creator's responsibility.
No, all responsibility is on the platform. So if a platform, under this definition, has the facility to create an account and or has under 16s who have an account on there already, then they will have to take reasonable steps.
So what's the functional difference in your definition between YouTube and Pornhub?
One contains content that is restricted content that is prohibited to be accessed by children under law. So Pornhub is a pornographic website.
I understand that.
YouTube has a whole range of information, including educational content and a whole range of information that doesn't really match up with a site like Pornhub.
And Senator, that goes to that was the second limb of the age assurance trial, looking at technologies for 18 or over for pornographic material, for age assurance for that. And that also goes to the matter of the codes that Digi were talking about before. Those codes relate to access to particular types of content, including pornographic content.
Let me try and understand.
The very design of Pornhub is to provide pornographic material to people who are permitted to watch it. That's the difference.
I guess that, but I asked for the functional difference. Pornhub is 18 plus, correct? But you don't have to prove it, as I understand it. Could you show me where in the legislation you're actually including porn sites in this child protection bill?
Sorry, Senator, would you mind just repeating the question?
Pornhub is 18 plus, correct? But you don't have to prove it, apparently. Could you show me where in the legislation you're actually including porn sites in this child protection bill?
There are separate laws in relation to pornographic material, which we can step you through. This bill is more about age limits for digital platforms, imposing a 16-year age limit for digital platforms. There are other laws that prohibit access to pornographic material online, including the codes process and classification system.
That's correct.
Yep.
So what's required for them? For someone 16, 17 to get access to a Pornhub, what's required?
That's subject to the codes that industry is developing right now that Digi talked about in terms of what specifically is required.
And also, Senator, there's a whole system of classification laws that are designed to prevent access to adult content by children. And then on top of that, the E-Safety Commissioner's administration of things like basic online safety expectations and the Phase 2 codes that are under development now too. Yeah.
So I'd like to move on to that, actually, because I'm glad you raised it, because I was going to raise it. You exempt gaming sites because they already carry age recommendation. In fact, some video game sites are MA 15 plus, 15 plus, not 16 plus. Who will have to change, your bill or the MA 15 plus rating?
The bill doesn't require them to change. No,
nothing will change.
No, because gaming isn't caught by the new definition. Then there's nothing that requires the gaming systems to change.
So social media is 15 plus, but gaming is 15. Social media is 16 plus. Video games are 15 plus.
Yeah, the policy here is to treat games as different to social media. For some of the reasons we talked about before, they are seen as a different form of content consumption and engagement to social media.
Doesn't this sort of indicate to people that this bill's intent is not about what the government says?
No, the bill is definitely about what the government says. It imposes a firm age limit of 16 on account creation for social media for all of the concerns and reasons outlined about the damage that's being done to under 16s through exposure to social media. Games are a different, and games also are subject to classification rules, so they have their own regime they have to comply with now.
And they're subject to the broader Online Safety Act as well.
Yeah.
Senator Roberts, I'll get you to wrap up.
Last question. Parental controls. I understand that there are parental controls that parents can buy, or sometimes free, in the form of apps that watch over what children are watching. What alternatives are already available for parents to control children's social media and control the exposure? And did you evaluate them? And why don't you just hand the authority back to where it belongs, the parents, because they can do a better job of parenting their child than government can?
Senator, the very strong feedback from parents that we received in this consultation is they do not want to bear the burden or responsibility of making decisions that should be better reflected in the law. At the moment, parents often refer to the 13-year age limit. That's part of the US terms of service that
For privacy reasons.
For privacy reasons that apply in Australia. That's often used to say to their children, you can't have a social media account until you're 13. So it's really important for parents to point to a standard law, an age limit that will apply to everybody. And it's also feedback we've received from a lot of children as well, that they would rather that there was a universal law that applied to all children under the age of 16, rather than have a situation where some children have it and some children don't, and then all of the harms that we're aware of through exposure to social media continue to magnify. We also don't want a situation where there's any question that parents have some legal responsibility in relation to an age limit. The very strong view of the government is that that responsibility should be borne by the platforms, not parents.
We also have some
platforms are in a much better position to control their services than parents.
So we want to put parenting in the hands of social media platforms?
The parents have said to us that they have a very strong view that they want a 16-year age limit, and that the platforms are better placed to enforce that because it's their platforms.
How much notice did the parents get to give their comments? Because we got 24 hours notice of submissions, closing of submissions.
We've been consulting with them.
I'll just add that we do have evidence that 58% of parents were not aware of social media parental monitoring, and only 36% actually searched for online safety.
So wouldn't it be better to educate the parents?
Pardon?
Wouldn't it be better to educate the parents?
We are educating parents too, and that's part of the digital literacy and other measures that we're undertaking. So education is important, but it's not enough.
I mean, educating parents about the controls already available that will keep the control over their children in their hands, parents' hands, not usurping it and putting it in government's hands.
I think it just comes back again, Senator, to the point that we've made, that the very strong view here is that platforms should bear the responsibility for imposing or following an age limit, not parents who don't have as much information about how these platforms operate than the platforms themselves.
Thank you. We'll go to Senator Canavan.